So I first got involved because my sister did it for 4 years. And so I went like every single year, like constantly to every single race. And at first I didn't really know what the sport was, so that was like a little bit weird, but over time I kind of got it. And then quickly I just kind of decided to scooch into it, and I've been there ever since.
I'm good friends with Cara, and her sister was on the team. And so my dad found out about it, and he thought maybe I'd be a good rower because I'm tall, so he convinced me to try out.
Through my brother, he was a big influence in my life, and so he rowed for the 4 years he was in high school, and it helped define and structure his high school life.
I got involved with rowing just basically from one of my friends from the Boy Scouts, Abe Coco, who used to be on the rowing team. He graduated when I was a freshman. He went to Stotesbury when I was in 8th grade, so he kind of really inspired me when I was like really young. And then my father, who he went and saw Henley like a couple times, head of the Charles as well. And he also told me like I would always be like a really good athlete, and I had all the aspects that rowers really wanted.
My best friend wanted to go to the Learn to Row program during the summer and didn't want to go alone, so I went with her, and she didn't even end up showing up, and I fell in love with crew and started fall a few weeks later.
I lived in Texas at the time. I was in Austin, and my neighbor came to me and she told me that she was doing this camp on Lady Bird Lake at Texas Rowing Center. And that really intrigued me because my brother had rowed in high school and in college. He rowed at Wisconsin. And so I gave it a shot, and she quit, but I stayed with it.
I had knee surgery in 8th grade, and I needed to choose a low-impact sport. And it was bowling or rowing, and I wanted to be fit, so I chose rowing.
Well, I started in middle school.
My freshman year, I had just moved from New York City, and I had never done a sport before. And I thought, oh, crew would be great because everybody starts as a freshman.
I got involved with rowing through my family. My mom was a rower in high school, and both my brother and sister were on the Montclair crew team at some point.
And I went to the high school sports night in the auditorium, and I've been recommended crew by some people, I forget who. And Julian was there. And the first thing he said was he looked at me and was like, "You're tall, we want you." And I was so confused because I didn't think anybody would ever want me to do their sport. And so I couldn't just show up.
It's taught me that my attitude is really important, that if I'm in a bad mood or if I'm in a really good mood, it can really affect the people around me.
Being on the Montclair rowing team has taught me that I really need others to succeed, both in the boat and out of it.
It's taught me that no matter what, it's worth persevering and working through something, and that win or lose, there's always something ahead.
When I put in the effort, it always feels more significant actually succeeding.
I can actually work hard when I want to.
What I thought was the limit really wasn't.
To push myself to my limits and to grit it out.
It's taught me to work hard, harder than I know how to otherwise.
Hard work can create transformation.
It's definitely taught me that I can work a lot harder than I think.
I mean, to think about the amount of workouts that I've done these past 4 years and how I'm still alive, I mean, it just goes to show, really, regardless of how much it hurts, you're still gonna come out through the other end, so.
Sophomore year during spring season, when I decided to not quit even though I didn't have a boat because there were so many upperclassmen coxswains at the time, and instead I went every day to practice and was in the launch with all the coaches, and I think that in the end I accomplished a lot because it was the greatest learning experience for me.
Being captain was definitely one of my biggest accomplishments, just because I'm definitely not one of the strongest girls on the team, but I think I made up for it in other places, so being captain was just a huge honor.
Just beating people that are 5-6 inches taller than me, winning states and going all the way to the finals of Stotesbury, it really shows a lot.
I'm most proud of winning Stotesbury as a sophomore and getting a full college scholarship.
Nationals sophomore year, because it was a really tough race and we really held it together and battled it out for the whole time.
Probably getting third at nationals last year in the lightweight quad.
Getting third at nationals in my lightweight quad because those are my favorite girls ever. And it was so nice to be able to succeed in something like that with like the best group of girls that I've ever worked with.
My third place finish at Stotesbury last year in the JV8, although we did not get a medal due to unfortunate circumstances, we all worked really hard.
The team had an amazing fall season. I personally also had a good season. We did very well at Head of the Tonic, Head of the Schuylkill, a lot of other races.
Right now, I'd say I'm most proud of just how the varsity is going. While we have won Garden State Championships, I do think we have a lot bigger agenda and a lot bigger races to win, and I think we can do it.
Well, to be honest, I never, due to various things, I never actually accomplished much during my time. Actually, that doesn't sound very good.
From sophomore, junior, senior year, Patrick King getting pooped on by a goose every year.
But that was definitely memorable.
Garden State Championships, we were hoping to win, and so we had decided that it was a big enough race to celebrate. And so we come through the finish line in first place, and Henry Vecchione, my stroke man in front of me, in an effort to celebrate, throws his hands up, and his oar comes back and smacks him right in the face. It's really funny.
We were on the dock, and the starboards got out of the boat and took the oars out before the ports were out of the boat, and it flipped. And I was in the boat when it flipped, on the dock. So that was fun.
Winning Stotesbury.
Halfway through the turn, I look back and I see that Lily's oar is vertical to the water, and our boat is tipping, like almost capsizing, a full 8.
Ruben called go, and right as we started going, his launch got jammed up against the rocks because it was a little bit shallow. And so we had to stop and wait for him, but there was no one around to like get him unstuck.
They put me in stroke of the 8 because my brother was a stroke for all 4 years. He was on the crew team and he was always very successful. And I know that Lorna looked at me and she said, "Ready, row." And then I started backing it instead of rowing straight. And that was the last time, well actually almost the last time I was ever in stroke seat.
A few days after States, when the pictures had come out and every single one of them showed me looking out of the boat, and Lorna got out on the water and from about 3 boats away took out her megaphone and shouted at me, "If you ever look out of the boat again, I'm gonna make you 2K every day till Stoats," which was 2 weeks away. I don't think I looked out of the boat for the rest of the season.
This is not necessarily a good moment, but finding out that we had been relegated down to 5th last year at Stotesbury.
Wouldn't necessarily be a day or anything, it'd just be last year's spring season in the girls JV8, because I've never met such caring people, and we supported each other no matter if we won or lost. And I miss that boat every day, but I just know I'll never meet a group of girls like that ever again.
I mean, I'm always going to be particularly proud of the tradition that I started, being making all the freshmen bring butter to their first pasta party.
I'll probably miss pasta parties the most.
I'll miss the pasta parties the most because I love pasta.
The pasta parties a lot because it's just a really fun way to get to know some of the freshmen, get to know the upperclassmen and underclassmen, and just hang out with the rowers in a really stress-free environment.
I'll miss the pasta parties.
The loud and rambunctious talent shows we have on the buses on the way home from spring regattas.
The bus rides home. Especially after we won a race or a mani, it's just, they're great and everyone's happy and we're all just messing around. It's a really good time.
100% would just be driving, because that's where I met my best friends and where I bonded with the team.
Running the steps is so fun, just because it's after race and everyone is dead tired, but yet if you won, everybody gets to get together and just sprints up all these steps.
Shaving your head for St. Baldrick's, which is kind of less of a team tradition, more just for a couple people.
Chocolate before Stotesbury.
I have worn the same sports bra every single race.
I always wear a backwards hat when we race.
I have a couple things of specific pairs of socks not to wear.
I have a lucky pair of underwear. I shave the night before.
The weirdest one that I have is I try not to shave for the week before, and then the night before the race, I'll shave my legs, and it's like a really weird thing, and I don't really know why I do it, but it's like a thing.
Last year, me and Emery would always listen to like our favorite hype song in the bus.
As a boat, we tend to not like to talk about our potential successes, so we have a thing where we knock on wood.
We have a boat superstition that you have to pass back the fist bump before every race.
I always say like a little prayer before I start. That's my greatest tradition, I'd say.
Juliet and I were walking in the mall and we found this boot on the floor. So we had brought it to all the races afterwards as good luck.
And so we'd always need to bring a different, we always need to race in the boat that the JV8 used, which is a different size of wrench. And so I was too tired to do it the night before, so I got up the morning of our first race. I went down to the basement, to my dad's tool chest, and grabbed this massive, like, huge adjustable wrench and put it in my bag. And I'm pretty sure I got yelled at by Jeremy for using such a big wrench. But I've had that wrench in my bag at every regatta I've been to ever since. Sometimes Jeremy goes full Australian and goes like something really surprising, goes, crikey.
I guess the newest phrase would be way enough, and that's like a simple one, but I spent years trying to figure out whether it was one word or two words or how way was spelled.
Casual.
I don't know if it's particularly English. I think it's actually a part of the anatomy.
I always had a problem with my catch ever since I started rowing, and so I've been reminded for 4 years, so I know what a catch is.
Rocket means it's like arugula.
I don't know, I didn't know gunnel was a word before this.
The car park.
Row up to the car park.
Milkmaids from Ruben, because that's all he says all the time.
Haterade might be one of them. Ruben once was shouting at a boat, and he said, "Sorry, I'm shouting so much. I drank too much Haterade this morning."
1,000 times. Every single teacher I've had is a rower has asked or recommended it.
Oh God, it is incessant.
More times than I care to count.
Countless times.
Everyone has recommended it.
At least 5 times.
I think Lorna's probably mentioned it almost 100 times.
I can't even count.
I don't know, every time I meet someone who like knows even a little bit about crew, they're like, oh, read Boys in the Boat.
So many times.
So, I really do need to read Boys in the Boat, and I apologize for that, but I still haven't.
Well, this should be known to everyone, carrots.
Cheeseburger.
The Chipotle meal the other day.
Favorite thing to drink is chocolate milk.
Well, my dad always makes pulled pork for at least one of the regattas.
Mr. Coon's pulled pork sandwiches.
I like hot dogs.
The Nutella in the morning.
Tortilla chips.
It would probably be breakfast.
I would just say they just have a big old thing of Nutella and you just take a spoon and you just eat it.
I eat like 3 or 4 of them.
No matter what time it is, I'm like, they're the tortilla chips.
It was so
I also love the muffins.
And I'll hoard them for after I go through the finish line, and I'll drink them on the bus ride home.
You can't use more than one spoon. I'd always waste so many spoons because you don't want to like double dip, like that's gross. Just
Criticism from the coaches is really meant to help you, and taking it in a really positive way and saying, I can become better from this.
It's worth it. Like, at least for me it was. I definitely enjoyed my time here, and I think it did a lot for me.
Even if you're small, don't lose hope, because I'm the shortest girl on the team right now, and I've kind of been able to persuade myself to finish, even though it's a little bit harder and I kind of have to keep up with everyone else. I don't know, I've put in a lot of hard work and acknowledge the fact that I'm short, but I haven't let it get me down too much. So just remember that even the shortest people can succeed.
You get better as you go on.
It's always gonna hurt, like when you're rowing, and just pushing a little bit more will always help.
Tough it out, because when you look back on it, it's the highlight of my high school career.
Stick with it and just kind of power through all the really bad moments.
All these other teams are out there doing the same thing that we are, so not doing the best you can at practice is giving another team an opportunity.
Work hard, and if you're showing up to practice every day, give it your all, because it's not worth spending so much time to slack off.
it hurts like hell, but like it feels so good. Like that's every single painful workout that you've done in one feeling. Like that's that's really what rowing is. So just if you can get through today, then you can get through the rest of the season.
I tell the underclassmen to work real hard, have a lot of fun, and be respectful.
The people, 100%.
They care about each other more than I feel like some other crews do, who just look at people as erg times.
The people, definitely the people. They're definitely unique and lots of fun, and they all love the sport, and that's all I can ask for.
We have each other's backs on the water.
I'm the closest with this group of girls that I've ever been with anyone.
The team itself, the kids on the team are very nice.
People I've met and the relationships I've made and the things the places I've gone, and like I competed at Head of the Charles, what the heck?
I think that the Montclair crew team is a very passionate.
Just the drive to win.
Being a public school in a private school dominated sport is really special.
We are a public school and we don't get the chance to recruit, and our kids and all of the rowers aren't the biggest, we aren't the strongest, we don't have the best ergs, but every single person on the team has such a fight in them and such a will to win that regardless of that fact, we still show these big programs like Mount and St. Joe's and Gonzaga that we're not to be messed with and we're not to be underestimated.
I guess the thing I'd be dreading most is trying to find a new group of friends, because so far crew has been what's kind of giving me my closest friends.
Not going to Nereid every day, which sounds terrible. Like, honestly, that's just been such a big part of my high school life, that just driving to Nereid and like blasting music, so I'm definitely gonna miss that a lot.
Finding new people, finding a new friend group, because I'm convinced that, you know, that whenever somebody goes to college, like there's always, you know, they'll find their people, the kind of people who they agree.
It's going to be real weird to meet all my new teammates and have them come from some clubs that maybe I'll be beating this year. That'll be awkward.
It'll be hard to go to a different type of coaching because our coaching here at Montclair is probably one of the best coaching you could probably ever get, and probably in all of rowing.
I'm looking forward to and dreading rowing next year because it's going to be a huge step up from this year.
I'm going to college, which means I'm going to have to structure my day and make sure that I'm not off task, even without something as grounding as rowing.
Well, I'm not gonna be in college next year. I'm taking a gap year, taking care of children. So, in a foreign country where I don't speak the language. So I think that's gonna be pretty tough, but also very exciting.
I'm looking forward to rowing with new people, and I'm dreading doing my own laundry.
Not having my mom do my laundry.
Literally everything, like just actually everything I can think of about next year, I'm dreading.
I would like to thank the coaches. I would like to thank my teammates, alumni and present, and I would like to thank my parents.
I mean, obviously, I have to thank the coaches because, you know, they did a lot for us, and they put in so much time.
The coaches, Jeremy, Julian, Lorna, and Ruben, they've been a great help. Margot has been tremendously nice all 4 years.
I'd also really like to thank the coaches for putting up with me for 4 years and making me a lot better at the sport.
And definitely the coaches, because they didn't give up on me even though I'm really, really small.
And also my friends, because they're always the ones like right next to me and basically in the same boat as me.
I really want to thank the girls in my JV 8 from sophomore year and varsity 8 from junior year for really teaching me how to be committed to something and how to work extraordinarily hard.
Ultimately, I'd like to thank my teammates and my coaches because they really got me to where I am now.
I actually would like to thank Juliet and Emery. They've basically helped me grow as a person so much.
I really would like to just thank all the members of the crew team. I think you're all so talented and honestly have really helped me grow as a person.
I'd like to thank my parents because they've dealt with my constant complaining about my blistered hands and like the cuts on the top of my knuckles. and how tired and sore I am.
My parents for dealing with all of the time that comes with rowing and bringing the food down to the regattas.
I'd like to thank my parents for supporting this and moving me to Montclair.
I'd really like to thank my brother and my family.
My mom for helping me through it.
Also, I have to thank all the parents because they've done everything for us ever. And like this team would not run if we did not have parents. So I just want to say a big thank you to all the parents for just doing everything for us all the time. You guys are great and you really make this so much of a smoother process. Thank you so much. But yeah, that's it.